I want to first of all thank GW for being such a great university, and also want to thank the Central Asia program and all our teachers, colleagues, and Marlene for her exceptional hospitality and guidance that she provided for us. So I have studied Salafi communities for several years in Baku and Kuwait. However, today media and expert community mainly associate Salafism with the terrorism. I conducted research on the largest Salafi community, which rejects global jihad and mainly focused on the preaching in the context of the nation state. So this presentation analyzes how Salafi community in Azerbaijan engage with the electronic media, and my main research questions are: what does media mean for Salafis, and how do they, what styles of communication do they use in their media engagement? So Salafism appeared in Azerbaijan as a result of diverse transnational flows, mainly from Gulf countries. After independence, a variety of Islamic charitable NGOs entered the country, and in 1997, with the financial assistance of one of those organizations, the Abu Bakr Mosque was built. So the most dominant and the largest Salafi community has been structured inside and around of this mosque. Its leader and the imam of the mosque were the charismatic Sheikh Gamal Suleimanov, who studied in Saudi Arabia. He is a graduate of one of the most prestigious universities in Islamic world, Islamic University of Medina. And his eloquent sermons drew from 7,000 to 8,000 people, which no other mosque could compete with. No other mosque could draw such a large number of believers. However, in 2008, authorities decided to close the mosque. The mosque was closed, and there have been two reasons for that. The first reason, from the very beginning, the state perceived Salafism as a dangerous and extraneous phenomenon, and being unable to adapt it or completely control it, they decided to exclude it from the public space. The second reason, the mosque itself was a space of permanent contestation between the radicals, the jihadis, and those who rejected the global jihad. So at the end, these discursive struggles ended with a physical violence, and there was a terrorist attack, and then government decided to close the mosque. So the closure of the mosque, after the closure of the mosque, Salafism in Azerbaijan lost its erstwhile influence in the society, and actually the loss of the physical space considerably limited the public sphere in which Salafism could interact. However, under the pressure, under these constraints and limitations, under these kind of conditions encouraged them to adapt. They just deprived of the real mosque, they started to create a virtual one. So here we see the side of the Abu Bakr Mosque. What is interesting, the internet started to compensate them for the physical space and preserve their sense of being a single community that once gathered in the Abu Bakr Mosque. They, in a way, imitate and recreate their physical infrastructure in the virtual reality, and it is done by purpose. So the Salafi leaders don't want Muslims to lose their attachment to the mosque, their connection to the mosque. They want to preserve this identity and to show the Muslims that, to convince them to cultivate a sense in them that the mosque is still alive, it still has an imam which preaches every Friday. And you see in their audio materials, on the forefront of their audio materials, you see the picture of the mosque, and it's still the part of their symbolic politics. So the site of the mosque directly transfers users to the Mixler platform. This is like electronic radio platform. It's audio streaming device that allows every user to broadcast from their mobile devices or from their computers. So very interesting. Young Azerbaijani Salafis in Saudi Arabia teach Salafi books on a weekly basis. So every Muslim, they just announce the schedule of their lessons, and every Muslim can attend these lessons online. So in a way, this Mixler platform transformed into the electronic madrasa, which facilitates transmission of the Salafi knowledge and escapes the state control. In addition, Salafis post their video and audio materials which indicates or which articulate their meetings with the prominent Salafi figures showing to the Muslims that they kind of sustain communication between them and these harbingers of the Saudi Salafism. And all this interaction is happening, escaping the state, and in a way they overcoming obstacles imposed by the law which prohibits for foreigners to preach in Azerbaijan. So as we see, the electronic media facilitates transmission of knowledge for Salafism and transnational interaction between them and the big figures of Salafism in Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries. And the mediator is this electronic platform. However, studying the Salafi web materials, I have noticed that they not just instrumentalize the media, but media also influences on and shifts their epistemology. So they use technology, but technology also influences on them. And you can observe it on their new media project, Salaf News. So this project is quite very interesting for everyone who is from Islamic studies, because you see, it was launched in 2014 in order to get around the informational blockade in which Salafi community found itself after the closure of the mosque. It became a Salafi voice which communicates the public, the Azerbaijan society directly, rather than the third party. So they provide for Muslims the news as any other news platforms or news agencies, but supply them with the Salafi commentaries. And they selectively provide the news. They provide what they think is important for Muslims. And they're not unique in these media strategies. The Kazakh Salafis, a certain Kazakh Salafi community, created the same portal, Sunna Press, which applies the same discourse. So what is their media strategies there? First, they provide Muslims different news on social and political events, but explains this news from the Salafi perspective, implying that every Muslim should understand it in the right way. And for example, you see here the presidential decrees by two presidents. So in Azerbaijan there is a decree about establishing the university. In Kazakhstan it's a decree about the mobilization to the army. But both decrees legitimized by the Salafi commentaries. And what is interesting is that they call the obedience to the ruler is a part of worship. So it's not just about politics, they emphasize it, but a part of worship. And it's a way to communicate with the authorities and with the community. But at the same time, they use these sites, these platforms, to communicate the public and to show them that the Salafism is an indigenous phenomenon. It's a local phenomenon, not something alien or dangerous for the society. And this site has very interesting sections, two sections. The first section, who are we Salafis, explains to the Azerbaijan society that Salafism is not alien to it's not alien to the nationhood. It's not alien to the concept of the Azerbaijani nation. And you see that they use the flag of Azerbaijan, the national symbols, to show them that we are compatible with the nation state. The second, the more interesting one in the section, the concept of patriotism in Islam. There they explain to the Azerbaijan society that the modern concept of patriotism is completely compatible with Islam, and especially with Salafism. So Salafism understand patriotism as a unity of their citizens, love to the will to protect the motherland or homeland, and the obedience to the ruler. And what is interesting, they refer this section to the main issue of the Azerbaijani foreign policy, the Nagorno-Karabakh issue. And they always post the news from the front line saying that in Nagorno-Karabakh, Muslims confront Muslims, while in Iraq and Syria and many other places, Muslims fighting Muslims. So the real jihad actually exists there in Azerbaijan. So again, these two sections, why they are important, they first of all challenges the popular concept that Salafism is completely deteriorized phenomenon, that it's transnational. The second, they show their willingness to situate themselves in the political situation of Azerbaijan. And as I said, they are not unique in these media strategies. The Kazakh Salafis use, the certain Kazakh Salafi networks use the same strategies. And for example, they created the site of the leader of Azerbaijan Salafi community, Gamal Suleimanov, in Russian language. And it was a strategic decision. So these both communities support each other, they refer to each other, creating cross-border transnational interaction on the post-Soviet space. So they translate, so Gamal Suleimanov mainly preaches in Azerbaijan language. They translate his sermons and fatwas into Russian language. And Russian language has been chosen by purpose because it's still a tool of international communication in the Eurasia, in the post-Soviet space. So through this site they reach a broader audience. So in a way Azerbaijan is also export not only imported Salafism from Saudi Arabia, but somehow also exported to the post-Soviet space. And in conclusion, so it's summarizing it, so we see that the internet compensates Salafism for the physical space, like it's became an infrastructure which facilitates their transmission of knowledge and helps them to escape the state control and overcome these obstacles imposed by the state. At the same time, so they adapt the new media strategies, which also change their epistemology. They started to adapt, so they incorporate into their method of argumentation the news about social and political events, presidential decrees, and other things, in order to attract more followers, and in order to, so everyone reads news at least. When you read news, you have to read it from their perspective in the Salafi interpretation. And that is all. Thank you very much.